finances and even their physical needs. Father, we pray that you would help them in all their stress that they are in at this time. Father, we do pray for the doctors and the nurses and all the healthcare facilities and all the things that they do to help us all to do that. Father, we're grateful for the church here and what it means to us. We pray that you would be with each one as we try to live a life pleasing to you. Pray that you'd always take care of us, be with us in the things that we do that are right. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Proverbs chapter 14. Proverbs 14. It won't surprise you none that the theme of Proverbs 14 is wisdom and foolishness, and the contrast of the two. That has been the case for several chapters now, and there is really no rhyme or reason to the path here. Just looking at highlighting some key verses from each chapter, and again, they're the verses I picked, so I guess if you were to teach this, you might pick different verses, and that's fine. But over and over and over, just a variety of ways of illustrating wisdom and foolishness, and the contrast between wisdom and foolishness. And so we begin just in verse 1 and illustrate it this way. A wise woman builds her house, but foolishness with her own hands will tear it down. And so you see the opportunity for either or. You see the power within the same woman. This is not, back in the earlier chapters of the book of Proverbs, we had woman wisdom and woman folly, if I can say it like that. We had two women that were being contrasted, one behaving herself very wisely and the other not. And you remember the father's instruction to the son about avoiding the woman of foolishness. And well, here it's the same woman. It's not a contrast between two different women behaving in different ways. It's showing the ability or the opportunity for the same person to behave in totally opposite ways. Obviously not at the same time, but our ways are either wise or they're foolish, but the reality of it is that we could be both from time to time. We could behave ourselves very wisely, or we could behave ourselves very foolishly. And we see from the end of Proverbs 1, at the end of each line, the results of that. So wisdom builds up, foolishness tears down. So broaden it with me, if you will. I understand we're talking about a woman and her house, and we understand the role of the wife and the mother within the home and all of that. And obviously that's what the wise man's talking about, is that a wise woman builds her house up and does well for her house. A foolish woman, if she, and here I am making two different women when I've already said it could be the same one. If she behaves herself foolishly, then she could do right the opposite of building it up. She could tear it down. But broaden that out for me and help me with some other examples of how that works in our world. You ever feel smarter when you're around somebody who's very wise? Well, Maybe I ask it a different way. Sometimes people who are wise can make you feel dumb, right? Do you feel engaged, empowered, or strengthened by being around people who are wise? Maybe that's a better question. It seems to me that when we surround ourselves with people of wisdom, it helps to build us up. There may be some times when we feel dumb or when we feel inadequate, maybe. But I think overall, obviously if we're around people who are foolish, we probably feel pretty smart from time to time, but what is that really saying, right? If you're around a bunch of dummies and you're the smartest one of the bunch, then you're just the smartest dummy. That's all you are. So what really are you, right? So it kind of brings you down, right? Proverbs 14 and verse 1. I can get around a bunch of dumb people and I can feel real smart, but when I really analyze it, versus being around people who are wise, there may be moments when I don't feel too smart, but the reality or the result or the outcome, I think overall, is that I will be encouraged and I will be better for it, built up for it. What are some other ways that works in life? Okay? You're around somebody who's better and understands more and you can learn from, okay? You walk away better because of, you learn from them. The list is as long as the day, right? Whatever realm of society you want to talk about. If it's coworkers, you like being in the group at work that knows what's going on and can figure it out and work together and everybody's going to be better as a result of it, right? That's the idea of being built up. And that's ultimately what wisdom does. And so here it is in a context of a woman who, maybe a wife, maybe a mother, maybe both, builds up her house, but it certainly applies to, if you surround yourself with people of foolishness, you're bound to be torn down by foolish behavior. It's at some point. And it's could bring you to a ruin, whereas on the flip side, to surround yourself with wise people, whether it's work or whether it's spiritually or whether it's just in everyday killing time, kind of hanging out kind of thing, whatever part of life you want to talk about, you surround yourself with people of wisdom, and ultimately you will be built up from it. That's what wisdom does. Drop down to verse 6. A scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, but knowledge is easy for a man of understanding. Now, I thought Jesus says seek and you'll find. Didn't he say that in Matthew 7? And he also said in that context that ask and you'll receive. And then a little bit later, James says to ask. If any man lacks wisdom, let him ask. But here it says, a scoffer seeks wisdom in vain. Help me. What's he saying? They're not finding it, but they're seeking it. Okay? Okay. All right. We got the wrong person here, don't we? We got some problems with the individual. What is a scoffer? Maybe your translation says something else. Okay? Say that again. Okay? All right. What does that make you think of? That's not a word I think I have ever used. Okay? You may have to use that in a sentence. You may have to give me the origin. I don't know about this one. Any other translations? That is a paraphrase you got there is what that is. But I like it. Sure put my mind somewhere to thinking about this. Anybody got any other word in verse 6 instead of scoffer? A mocker. All right. We got an NIV among us here. A mocker. We got a mocker, a scoffer. Somebody who is, what does that mean? Okay. Somebody who, Sherry says, makes her think of a doubter. Somebody who's got a mindset of their own.
We think in biblical text, the Bible says Jesus quoted that blessed are the pure in heart that shall see God. A lot of people can see God in their own way, their own path, but their heart not in line with God and His understanding, they're going to be without. A lot of people will be shocked. So this negative person, this doubter, this person that's trying to be ridiculing others' reasoning, like Gene said, they got a sense to realize that they're in the wrong. Sometimes we all have to back up and just, I might be, look at even, I'm getting in a wild path here, but you think about even the divide sometimes between people in a very conservative mindset within the church, and anything that steps out of the bound of their conservative belief, sometimes it makes them uncomfortable. And sometimes we have to back away from our root thought and go, is this in line with what God is saying?
If we're truly seeking wisdom, then we will have the attitude that is willing to take a step back, that is willing to be reasoned with. The opposite of a scoffer, the opposite of a mocker, the opposite of somebody who's seeking to try to pad their own thought or beliefs or practices and so it is an attitude problem, yes. It could also be a problem of look. You ever seen somebody? I just love watching this. I just got to watch it a while ago. I just love watching it. Do you know who Callan was playing basketball with a while ago? He's playing basketball with Paxton. He didn't invite me to play with him not once. I was there. I was free. I was able to play basketball. He didn't invite me to play basketball with him. Just smearing Paxton all over the living room. He didn't invite me to play with him once. Ain't it interesting how people do that sometimes in life? It's like we don't. It's almost like we don't want to be challenged, or we don't want to be even maybe corrected, or we don't want to be presented with another. It's like, and so like a scoffer would say, "Hey, dude, I got this figured out, but I've also got figured out the people I need to avoid because they're wiser than me, and I'll have to take a step back, and I don't want to do that." So it may not just be an attitude problem, though I do think that's present, but it could also be looking for wisdom in the wrong places. Going to, a scoffer would say, I'm going to go to the inferior to me. I don't want somebody who's superior to me, who might actually, cause me to have to think or have to work or have to, and I don't want to do that. But I can go to people who are inferior to me and hey, what do you think? And it's as though I'm seeking wisdom. But the wise man says it's in vain. It's not any good. It's valueless. Callan beats his brother in basketball. What has he really done? You know what I mean? Do you really think? You really think after church night he's going to run around and tell everybody he beat his brother in basketball? But what if he had have invited me, and what if he had have beat me? Everybody in this building would know it, wouldn't they? Well, of course they would. See, that's the mentality. Is that you've actually... So see, a scoffer would claim, hey, I'm seeking, but it's nothing to be proud or to be, even thankful for necessarily, because it has no value. It's as though, wisdom is being sought from the wrong.
It says with pride, a foolish mouth lashes out pride.
Mm-hmm.
But the lips of wise protect them. So vice versa. He should have been trying to help Paxton rather than trying to beat him.
Well,
Because he was shouting his pride, how good he was, in comparison to the smaller child. That, that's what kids are. But instead of turning around and trying to help Paxton do a better job and get more points or be able to do a step something differently. It's just, I'm not saying he's a fool, but
no,
it's that, like you say, scoffers.
it's a matter of, it is a matter of, in life, if you don't ever want to be better, you won't be. You won't be. And so you've got to want to be better. And in order to be better, in order to be wiser, you have to challenge yourself to you can't just, you can't decide you've got it all figured out, the attitude of pride, or decide that you got to a point to where you can't learn anymore or don't need to learn anymore. That would be a scoffer, one who is set in their own, ways. I chased several different thoughts here, possibly even a refusal to listen. You ever ran into somebody like that, who you try to help, but they won't listen? And I'm not going to call them a scoffer. I don't usually do any name calling, but I do think that the attitude, at least, can creep in here to a person who not only could be set in their ways or have an attitude that, I don't have to learn, or I don't need to learn, or I've already, and I guess maybe that plays in my mind to even, when a person gets to a point to where they refuse to listen, can you really help them? That's I don't know what all a scoffer is, but or a mocker, somebody who is very self-absorbed, type. I don't know where all you take that. I just found it interesting the way it's worded. They seek wisdom because through this whole book it's like, hey, if you want wisdom, you search for wisdom and you'll find it. And the Bible is over and over teaches us that when you seek after, but there's a heart and there's an attitude in the one who's doing the seeking. And we understand that. I just wanted to bring up verse 6, and it's in vain when regardless of whether you act like you're seeking it or not, it's still in vain. Verse 9. Yes, sir.
I want to know it, but I already know it. I already made my mind.
Okay. The mind's already made. Maybe we're just humoring the person to make them think we really. You ever had somebody? I thought about this today. You ever had somebody ask a question, and I don't mean a rhetorical question. I know what a rhetorical question is, and I ask some rhetorical questions. I'm talking about a legitimate question. Yet, when you answer it, you think to yourself, they already had the answer they wanted. You ever had that? Like so then you ask yourself, well, why did you ask me in the first place? Well, they just, I guess it made them feel better to ask you. I guess it made me feel better to ask you, But it's almost like I've already got the answer. I've already decided. And, I'm not going to be as blunt as this, but what I am saying by my actions is it really don't matter what you say. I've done made up my mind. And I guess I know I've been guilty of that. Maybe many have. And we just need to be careful because it puts us into a position of being unable to gain wisdom because we're not listening, we're not receiving, we're not accepting, we're not analyzing. I mean, I'm not saying you got to change your mind every time, but we do all need to be seeking wisdom with the right attitude. And if we do, then certainly those passages apply. We'll find it.
They're a little smarter or better than you. We play teams that just mop the floor with us. And when we come to the gym the next day and analyze what happened, you've got players that will say, what did I do wrong? Or how can I be better? And then you've got this player over here that says, I don't want to know what number 14 did. I don't even have to play her again. And so I'm through. The same thing with wise people when you're talking about the Bible and religious matters. You may not absorb everything that they say to you at the time you're talking, but when you leave and come back and visit it on your own time, in the quiet, you can apply what they've told you and see. And that goes back to your heart, what you're willing to do. Same as with the girls in the gym who wanted to learn and the ones who didn't.
The attitude is the key factor there in all of us, and I do think there's wisdom to be gained. We won't live long enough. What the man say? I won't live long enough to make all the mistakes in the world. So I need to learn from some others. So we can. There's a lot to be gained from each other and from one another. But it does come, the end of verse 6 says, knowledge is easy for a man of understanding. And that doesn't mean that he can learn easy. It means he has the right heart and attitude to want to learn. And when that is the case, then learning does come pretty easy for those who want to learn. And that could be illustrated through school, through sports, through work, through life in a variety of ways. You got the people out there who want to do the best they can and want to learn all they can and be the best at whatever it is that they can be. And those people are fun to coach, and those people are fun to work beside, and those people are fun to do life with, if I can say it that way. And we like being around those type of people. Obviously, you can flip the coin and realize that we don't like to be around the other type of people. Verse 9 says, a fool mocks at a guilt offering, but the upright enjoys acceptance. Fools mock at making amend for sin. I don't know what's happened here, but clearly something has been done. A trespass has been made to such that a guilt offering in order to make it right. And it says that the fool mocks this. I thought about the passage in Galatians 6 where it says God is not mocked. I think about somebody mocking whoever has done this person wrong is trying to make it right, is trying to offer, to make an offering to cover the sin that they've committed. And whatever's happened here is worthy of a guilt offering, is worthy of a sin offering. And yet foolishness would make a mockery of it. And I just read that and I just thought about how easy it is for us today to make light of sin, and how foolish it is to kind of just kind of brush over or sweep under or whatever you want to say. I just think today, in large part, we don't hurt bad enough because of sin. I'm just talking about me. And it's very foolish to make a mockery of sin. Sin is sin, and all sin is against God, and it is a big deal, and it does hurt, and it does, upset God, and it did require the blood of Jesus. And I just read verse 9, and I thought, to think about, here's a person who's offering a sin offering or a guilt offering, and the fool comes along and says, well, that's ridiculous. Well, I made this trespass, so I'm trying to make it right. Well, that's just crazy. Why do you, who cares? Who cares? What difference does it make? You're making a bigger deal out of this than you need to make. It's just, it ain't no big deal. It's just, And as I thought about that more, I thought, I kind of do that with sin, don't I? I just kind of brush it. It's no big deal, It's, yeah, it is a big deal, and it does matter. If it was big enough for a sin offering to be required, then sin had occurred, and it would be foolish to mock at that. Verse 14. Who are we talking about in verse 14? What does your translation say? The backslider. Who's got something else? Maybe that wasn't NIV a while ago, because NIV says faithless. The faithless, the backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. Talk to me about backsliders. Okay. Maybe. Maybe. He's certainly in a worse place than what he was, yes. A backslider in heart. What are you? Okay. I do think there is a weakness in, the NIV says faithless. Now that sounds pretty harsh, doesn't it? Faithless, right? But obviously there is a weakness in the faith at the bare minimum. A backslider. I do think, as Jeff has mentioned, that it is a movement in the wrong direction. Absolutely. But okay, I do think there is a shift in focus for this individual. I do think there is a shift in priority for this individual in a not good way. It's easier and easier, and yeah, exactly. Backslider in heart. I wanted to understand what a backslider was, but I can be honest with you, I got lost in this idea of in heart, and I never really did a whole lot with backslider. Was it backslider in heart? What does that mean? Huh. The intent. Huh. Huh. You can stop at any time because we're about out of time, and I don't know if I can deal with all this because this is good stuff. Yeah. The intent, not fully committed. Heard a mama say today of her kid, and it was not my wife, say of her kid that he knew exactly what it took to get by. You know, kids like that, right? And you can make the case that they got by, okay? And in some realms of the world, you know, I'm not sure that God is going to ask for your college transcript on Judgment Day, okay? I do think it's important to do your best, and I do think you need to make the best grade you can make, okay? But I don't think God's going to ask how you did in college algebra, all right? But, so there are some maybe areas in life where you know, getting by is getting by. And it may be that that's the best you can do. But even still, if that is the best you can do, what is the commitment? What is the intention? You see, if my intention is just to get by, then reality is I probably didn't do the best I could do. My heart wasn't in it. You know, the backslider in heart. See, I got lost in this because here's what I know. Here's what I know. I know people stop coming to church long before they stop coming to church. I know people who have lost a relationship with God long before they stop praying. They're still praying, right? I mean, they still coming to services, but I started this right a sermon and I decided I'd quit. But there's definitely a sermon there. A backslider. And what is a backslider? What is the heart? What is the intention? There's definitely a moving away. That, you know, I think about, you know, there's a place in Mississippi. It's called Gravity Hill. In case you ever want to go, you can ask Chastity where it's at. I ain't never been. She's been. But there's this place down there. It's in Iuka, in case you're wondering. It's not far. And somehow with the lay of the land, you put your car in neutral and you roll up the hill. All right? That's why it's called Gravity Hill. But I have never slid upward. Have you? I mean, you know, I guess if maybe that one occasion they were sliding upward. I don't know if you got out and stood on your feet if you move upward. I don't know. I think it's just an optical illusion is what I think. but I ain't never been there, so I can't say for sure. But anyway, all sliding typically is down. It's a digression. It is a and it usually gets faster as it goes, doesn't it? I mean, you think about being at the top of the slide on the playground, and you start out fairly slow. By the time you get to the bottom of that thing, you're moving on, usually. And I just think about backsliding in heart. Now, you say, well, I mean, this is a Wednesday night, and I even thought about it. Yeah, this is Wednesday night. And you're here on a Wednesday night. But I got to ask myself the question, am I here? Or am I just trying to get by? Or am I just doing what I think I have to do? Am I just, God expects me to go to church 3 times a week, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to punch that ticket, right? I'm not sure there's a lot of heart in ticket punching. And so it's very possible for me at any given time, very possible, that I am there in body but not in heart. And God didn't ask for just my body, He asked for my heart too. So this whole idea of backsliding, it's easy to point out to people who ain't coming to church. I mean, let's pick up a bag of rocks and let's start throwing them. Y'all want to? Because we're here, right? It's Wednesday night. But I think, let's talk about the backsliders. All right, let's talk about them. That's easy for me to do because I'm not a backslider. No, I'm at church every time the door's open. But am I? Am I really? I will preach a sermon on this. You can count on it. Because I'm liking it even more. I wish I'd went ahead and wrote it. The heart matters, don't it? And let me ask you this. When you start backsliding in heart, does it really matter what else you do? I think that's a good conclusion. You drop down to verse 34, you got to get it right. We love verse 34. Sin is a reproach to any nation, right? Righteousness exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach. You've heard Proverbs 14:34. I had it left, but I'll leave that to your own study there.
Good evening to everyone. It's great to see all of you here. I'm thankful that so many can be with us tonight for class. I know we all had good classes tonight. On our sick list, Luther Brown has stage 4 lung cancer, and this is the father of Lisa Moore. Let's remember the AP dinner that's for the Tuesday the 28th, I believe. If you're not able to attend and would like to give a donation, you can give it to David Killen before next Tuesday. Let's also remember to return the Magi boxes. Leading us in our devotional tonight, Bo Bennett will lead us in singing. Jeff Leonard will offer the invitation. And Wade Slater will have our closing prayer.
First song this evening will be number 166. 166. Sing verses 1 and 3 of this song. All day. Jesus, I am singing. Be my song, let joy ever be. All the while he keeps my heart bells ringing. For his love is everything to me. He is my King, and oh, I dearly love him. He is my King, no other is above him. All day long in raptured praise I sing. He is my Savior, he's my King. In his light I'm going home to glory, with the souls to trust his saving grace. Going home to sing and tell his story, in the blessed sunshine of his face. He is my King, and oh, I dearly love him. He is my King, no other is above him. All day long in raptured praise I sing. He is my Savior, he's my King. If you would like to mark the invitation song this evening, it'll be number 940.
Good evening. Hope you've all had a good Bible study so far and hope we can continue some good thoughts. If you would, turn your Bibles to John chapter 10. John chapter 10. We'll be there in just a few minutes. In 2019, a flock of sheep was grazing in the rugged mountains when they were threatened by a pack of hungry wolves. The herd was fortunate in that they had a protector that traveled with them, often keeping them together, watching over them, and living among them. He's there to protect them from any predators that may desire to devour any of the flock. The flock recognizes the protection that he offers. On a particular day in 2019, the hungry wolves made their attack, only to be met by the protector, the fearless sheepdog who takes ownership of the flock. The dog fights off the wolves and protects the sheep from harm. He is weak from the fight and covered in blood, because he will lay down his life and is ready to die for the sheep. One sheep is willing to show gratitude, to show appreciation for his efforts, and to comfort him. This simple gesture of comforting is all he needed to know that his protection is appreciated and respected. John chapter 10, beginning with verse 4. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Verse 7, Jesus the Good Shepherd. Then Jesus said to them again, Most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. The hireling flees because he is a hireling and does not care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep which I have, which are not of this fold, them I also must bring, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd. This photo reminds me of the 10 lepers, the 10 that was healed of leprosy, and one came back to show gratitude, to show thanks, and to honor Jesus, who took a life-debilitating disease away from him and made him pure again, and made him whole, and he could go back to society and mix with society again. And Jesus said, where are the 9? Where are those that should have showed the gratitude, that should have paid respect, that should have showed honor for what Jesus had done for them? Jesus, the shepherd of the flock, brings some questions. Are you one of the flock? Are you one that's protected? Are you one that stays in the fold? Are you one that listens to his word? Are you one that entered by him because he is the door to the flock? Did you hear his voice because you knew his voice? You see, a stranger does not hear the voice of Jesus, but his sheep do. Is your life such that you are in the fold, that you're in the flock, that you're protected from those things that the devil throws at you and at your life? Or have you been in the fold and then you've not listened to Jesus and need to return to hearing him again? As you think about the Good Shepherd and what he offers you and what he's already done for you, he's laid down his life, and he's bled, and he's suffered, and he's fought the devil off, and he's overcome death in order to offer it to you. If there's any way we can help you with that, would you come while we stand and sing?
closing song this evening, we'll sing number 634. 634. We'll sing the first and last verse. O land of rest.
Shall we pray together? Our Father and our God in heaven, we thank you for today. We thank you for this time that we've had in the middle of the week to gather and study a portion of your word in our classrooms. Father, I pray that you would help us as individuals remind ourselves that your Son Jesus is our good shepherd. Help us as the sheep to follow him. Many days we are led down paths that are not followed by Jesus. Help us, Father, when we fail you, forgive us of our sins. I'm thankful for this church here at Leoma. Father, I pray that you would be with the elders and their families as they lead us here. We're mindful of many sick of our congregation, many who have lost loved ones. I pray that you would wrap your loving arms around them and comfort them. Father, I thank you for watching over us thus far, and I pray that as we leave this place tonight, you would give us safety to our homes, and Father, back at the next appointed time. Forgive us again. It's in your Son's name that we ask this prayer. Amen.